Welcome to How to Bert Slide. This is my best attempt to break down every aspect of the Bert Slide. Before we begin, I wanted to share this thought. Don't think of a Bert Slide as a kick turn, think of it as a power slide. Every time it's demonstrated in this video, try to see the power slide. I wanted to demonstrate a couple of Bert Slides. This is one of mine. It's all right, but I also wanted to show you some from history so you can see what it really is supposed to look like. This is Larry Bertleman, that the Bert Slide's named after. This is Stacy Peralta doing just an incredibly stylish flat Bert Slide. Next up is Jay Adams, and while this isn't technically a Bert Slide, it's just so incredibly stylish that this is what you should be aiming for. Then last is Tommy Guerrero in Future Primitive. We're going to be covering both types of Bert Slides in this video. So that was a backside Bert Slide, and this is a frontside Bert Slide. And we're going to start with the front sides because I think it demonstrates the concepts better and it just looks better. Now we're going to break the Bert Slide down into its parts. So we're going to begin with the setup, then making contact, then initiating the slide, then getting back up. In my opinion, it's hard to make a Bert Slide look good if you don't set it up right, which means don't treat it like a kickflip or a kick turn or something that is just a short burst of trick. Think of it as part of a flow, part of a longer expression of skateboarding, or however you might want to put it. So for your setup, don't think of just, I'm going to go up, I'm going to do my slide, and I'm going to come down. Think of, how am I going to flow into this? And this will make sense as we get into the actual steps of it a little bit more. So as you're flowing into it, try to pick an angle that's not as steep. So not 90 degrees, but this more kind of shallow carving angle. Again, this isn't a kick turn. We're not going to go up and just go back down, keep it really tight. We want to be able to stretch out. And we achieve that by having this kind of carving, wave riding, surfing-like angle. And we can see here as we turn in, we're coming in at that angle. Then also notice that as we're setting up, we're staying low, bending the knees, getting down, and actually starting to push into the turn a little bit. What I mean by pushing into a turn is achieving this kind of like surf type kick turn. You saw Larry Bertleman do something like this a little bit, where you shift your weight, so your hips and your chest, backwards while pushing out a little bit with back leg. What this is going to do is make it a little bit easier to get this kind of power slide, kick turn, sort of slash motion. And I did it here, and it was a little too aggressive, and you can see my balance is just too far off the board, and the board ended up sliding out. Power sliding comes from shifting the weight, and I'm going to demonstrate this here. This is what happens when all of your weight is directly over your board. I'm pushing here, but it's not really moving at all. Then when we lean back and kick out just a little bit, we're able to get just a little bit of power slide. Then last, when we actually lay down and get far away from the board, it's really easy to just kick the board out away from us. Tommy Guerrero demonstrates this well here. Now we're shifting our weight to prepare for that power slide, and at some point, we're going to go past the point of recovery, meaning our balance is going to fall off of the board. We're not going to be able to just suck ourselves back on. We're actually just going to fall off. And the beautiful thing about this trick is that's the essence of it. It's a power slide where you just fall down and then you get back on the board. This would probably be a good place to talk about where to put your hand, but frankly, this is just a trial and error kind of thing. If it's too far away or if it's too close, you're not going to be able to land the trick. So I would say start out with just putting your hand wherever it's comfortable, just kind of wherever it falls. And if you're getting nice and low, if you're bending your knees, if you're bunching up, it'll probably fall in a pretty good spot for you to be able to get back up. Now, on that note, you might be worried about hurting your wrist or hurting your elbow or hurting your shoulder. Well, the odds of that are much, much lower if you get lower. So the lower you bend your knees, the less distance there is between your hand and the ground. So get really, really low going into this. Now for the actual slide. The slide itself, at this point, if you have enough speed going into this, if you've thrown your weight off, if you already have your legs down, you're committed, you're into this. And all you have to do is allow momentum to do its thing, and then kick. Just kick with your back leg. I mean, maybe not like you're trying to stomp through something, but you want to push out with your back leg so your back trucks do the sliding, and then your front trucks stay more or less in the same place. And that's kind of controlled by your weight. So your weight is going to be on your front foot and then on your hand. So you're in that kind of weird upside down crab push up position. Now, from that position, and you can try this right now with your board on flat ground, from that position, if your weight is on your hand and your front foot, it's super easy to just kick your back foot out and slide your board, which is what makes it turn around. And you might be thinking, well, what the hell? Your board's not just stuck to the ground. What's up with that? Your board's moving a fair amount. And that's true. It's because of two things: momentum, or the speed with which I'm going into this maneuver, but also I am pushing out a little bit with my front foot. And that's because, frankly, I'm not very flexible. I have a hard time doing this. So if I push my front foot out just a little bit, I will be able to get up onto my board a little bit more like a squat instead of having to kind of slide it under me and make my hips move away they don't want to. Step 4, standing back up or getting up. By far the hardest part of this trick. It requires balance and a little bit of strength. It's really not that bad if you've got momentum and if you have your legs working at the same time. Now, your most basic steps are moving the board so it's under you, getting into a squat position or bending your legs, and pushing yourself with your hand or hands if you're doing a two-handed one. There's two things we can do to make this easier and less of a feat of gymnastics. The first being use a slope to your advantage. Now you can see in this clip, I'm not even really needing to push myself up all that far because my balance is pretty much already upright thanks to that slope. And you can try this. I mean, it's why it's easier to get up if you're sitting on some steps or get out of a chair than it is if you're just on the ground. So having a slope really works to your advantage. Now, if you're doing this on flat ground or if you don't have something as steep as this, then the easiest way to do this is to get your legs as bent as possible and then really push off with your arm while kind of throwing yourself forward. And you can use your other arm to help you with this. But the biggest thing is throwing your weight forward into that sort of squat position. Now, what do you do if one of your legs is straight? So if you have a super boned out Bert Slide and your back leg is all the way straight, you can start to slide the board under you. So kind of do like an oblique crunch where the board is sliding under you. It's getting that momentum. And then you'll just load your weight on your front knee while bending your back knee to stay in contact with the board. And if you throw yourself up explosively using your front hand, then you can end up kind of throwing your weight back onto your board. That was kind of a lot, and we're going to recap before getting into the other variation. So we're going to approach with that nice, soft, kind of gentle angle, kind of that surf style carving. We're going to be getting low, dropping those hips, bending those knees. Then once we start to feel ourselves fall, once we're past that point of no return, and we're now pushing the board out, straightening our back leg, and maybe pushing a little bit with the front leg, we're going to be catching ourselves with our hand. Now, once our hand touches the ground, that's where the main extension of the body comes from, that sort of kicking motion. As we're allowing the board to follow that same arc that we were cutting in when we first hit that transition. So we're going to pivot around the hand. Then when we come to the point at which the board stops moving, that's when we begin to push off with the hand, scrunching our legs in, maybe using our feet to move the board so it's in a better position for us to get back up. Then we center our weight over the board and right away. Now onto backside Bert Slides. So backside Bert Slides, it's the same steps as a frontside Bert Slide, just a little bit different. It's a little bit easier to do them kind of like you would a kick turn, where it's more of that just go up, do the thing, come down. But here's an example of one that's a little bit more stylish, a little bit more flowing. Let's break down these steps. They're the same ones as before, but now you can see them overlaid with what the specific variation looks like. So we're taking that same approach, maybe a little bit of a steeper angle, but still getting nice and low, prepping ourselves to fall forward to get to the point where our weight is going to fall off the board, and then we can catch ourselves. And you can see right here that I actually power slide before my hands even hit the ground. It's just easier for me to do it that way. And I find that it generally yields a smoother result for me if I'm kind of kicking out, power sliding, and then I catch myself in that push-up position. Now, you can certainly just crouch down and put your hands on the ground and then kick out from there, but it looks a lot more smooth and more stylish if you already start the power slide before your hands are already on the ground. We use our legs and the momentum to push that board around. And if it's more stationary power slide, then we're doing more of that pinning of the front foot and then kicking the back foot. And I'll cover that in the next clip as well. And then right here, we're bringing the board under us and allowing our weight to shift back onto the board, where we then ride away. Then in this example, we can see that for this more kick turn kind of up and down motion, I'm really pinning it on my front foot and actually taking the back foot off the board, and I'm pushing from the side of the deck itself. And that causes the board to have a much tighter rotation instead of having to actually roll the wheels and do more of a rainbow type curve. Now, just like front sides, if our weight is pinning the board to the ground, it's not going to move. So the easiest way to move the board is to shift our weight off of the board. And if we're crouched, we've got our legs all tensed up, and then we can just kick out into the sort of extended push-up position. And you'll see here that the power slide movement is really what starts the movement, but turning the board around comes from pinning the front foot and then extending the back foot. Another option we have for style is to strategically explode with the back foot. Now, what you're seeing here is what happens when you don't do that, when you just fall into that push-up position and you stretch all the way out. It looks kind of funky. It looks like you're not totally in control, and sometimes this will happen where you just kind of lizard your way down. But if you go up and you really explode with that back foot while keeping the front one in, you get this really nice kind of slashing, carving motion. And frankly, that's what sets this type of Bert Slide apart from a carve. If you carve in and then explode out with your back foot right here, you'll get a pretty good looking Bert. Now, when it comes to step 4, that is getting back on, it's really important to set yourself up to be able to get back on. So here I was extended all the way out, but because my board wasn't angled straight down and it's actually angled a little bit to the side, that means that when I start to bring the board close to me, I'll be able to actually bend my legs instead of having to do almost like a reverse ladder movement to get back onto the board.
I really don't want to have to roll around on the ground anymore for this, but it's the best way to describe this, and frankly, you're worth it. So, one thing that a lot of people run into is either trying to kick turn or not kick turn, or kind of like in the beginning of this, we saw that clip of Jay Adams doing that really, really nice, like super stylish turn where there is no power slide. It's just a turn with his hand on the ground. Well, here's what's happening from the top, and this will hopefully better explain what I'm talking about here. So, when you're doing a Bert Slide like this, remember earlier we said that your hand makes contact, and that's the point around which you rotate. So we're gonna go boom, and it'll be easier if I just have this hand down. Just gonna move back a bit so I can be better in front of me. So this is the point around which you're rotating. My neighbors are gonna call the cops on me, I swear. So this is the point around which you're rotating, and if you're not moving your board with it, then your board is going to keep going until you don't have control of it and you can't get up anymore. The way to remedy that, you move your board. So if you're not controlling your board with your feet, then you'll end up in a situation where your board is just sliding out from under you. Like, because again, we need to go back to our circle. This is the point, this dirty, dirty hand is the point from which everything else rotates around. And so your board is almost like an asteroid orbiting whatever, some kind of stellar body or lunar body or whatever. And if your board keeps going straight when we're dealing with circles, then your board is going to fly out. Now, another issue that people have with kick turns, or pardon me, with Bert Slides, is trying to make them into a kick turn. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but I wanted to show from this angle, since I already have the camera rolling, what happens when you try to kick turn in a Bert Slide. Now you'll notice my feet are crossed. This happens every single time. Every single time someone tries to kick turn in a Bert Slide, your feet will end up crossed. Now, I don't know about you, I'm not super flexible. I'm actually kind of broken, but I can't get up like this. I just can't do it. And so in order to get back up, I have to return to the push-up position and then work my way back up. So if you're finding yourself like this, it's because you're lifting your front foot, you're letting the front of the board come up into a manual, so you're kick turning. That's what's going on here. So if you're finding yourself in this position, the solution is to push. Don't kick turn. And then get yourself all twisted up.
Well, I ended up covering it pretty well there, so I don't think we need to go into that too much, but you can see some more kind of out of frame examples of what happens when you're not keeping the board close and then kicking out. Now, two more points I wanted to mention. Leading with your shoulder for both backside and front side, it can help to lead with your shoulder. It's kind of like anything else in skateboarding. Leading with your shoulder, kind of almost like extending your arm and pointing out, will determine where you go. So if you're winding up with your shoulders, that will help immensely. Then the other point is just getting comfortable with carving, because ultimately a Bert Slide is kind of like a carve with power slide, but you're touching the ground. So just getting comfortable with frontside carving, backside carving, and then maybe starting to think like, oh man, I'm at the apex. Wouldn't it be cool if I just like kicked my foot out right here? Wouldn't it be cool if I threw in a power slide? You know, especially carving like this, like right there, maybe a little bit before that, could have turned that into a beautiful Bert Slide. So anyway, thank you for watching this. I really hope this was comprehensive and this helped. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I will answer as soon as I see it. Take care, everybody, and happy skating.